All right, let's jump right in with a pretty provocative idea, one that reframes this entire conversation around faith and what holds a society together.
Societies don't collapse when people stop believing in God.
They collapse when people stop disciplining themselves.
And for centuries, prayer was the technology for that discipline. You can think of it as a powerful mass-scale tool for building self-control. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at prayer as a kind of civilizational technology. Then we'll dive into its discipline mechanism and see what rushes in to fill the void when it's gone. We'll explore the consequences for society as a whole, study a really integrated blueprint, and then wrap it all up with a critical question about control. Okay, so first things first, we have to completely shift how we think about what prayer is and what it does. Most of us see it as this purely internal, personal experience. But what if its main function was actually something else entirely? So you have the common view, right? Prayer is a private ritual. But the functional view, that's different. It sees prayer as a form of public training that has private effects. It's like a system for coordinating human character on a massive scale. And when you take away that training, well, something else is going to take control.
So how does this whole mechanism actually work? I mean, if prayer is a technology for discipline, what does it produce? What does it actually create in a society?
Well, the argument is that the ritual of daily prayer consistently creates three really crucial things for a society. First, time discipline. Your day is no longer just your own. It's structured around these fixed points that you simply don't negotiate with. Second, ego restraint. The physical act of stopping what you're doing for something greater, that's a constant practice in humility. And third, accountability beyond law. It builds this internal feeling that you're being watched, that your actions matter, even when nobody else is looking.
And this gets to the absolute limit of any external system. Look, you can write endless laws, but if you don't have an internal mechanism that builds conscience, the law becomes the only thing stopping people. And that, my friends, is a very fragile foundation for any society. You know how they say nature abhors a vacuum? Well, so do societies. When a central organizing principle like prayer gets removed, something else is always going to rush in to fill that space. So, what are the modern replacements? It's these four, really. People start to organize their lives around a political ideology, or they find their meaning in consumerism, just the endless buying of stuff, or they chase pleasure as the highest possible good, or they just dedicate themselves to getting more and more power. These become the new gods. And here's the crucial point. While these new systems demand your devotion, they almost never demand your restraint. In fact, most of them demand the exact opposite. More consumption, more ideological purity, more pleasure-seeking, more control. They are literally engines of impulse, not discipline. Okay, so let's scale this up. What happens when you have millions of people running around without a shared technology for restraint, and instead they're being driven by these forces of impulse? What kind of society do you actually end up with? This is the uncomfortable truth at the very heart of this whole argument. We like to think that if we just remove old structures and disciplines, we'll automatically become free. But that's just not what happens. It becomes a society driven by short-term desires, by emotional reactions, by constant distraction. A culture of impulse just doesn't have the patience or the foresight you need to build and maintain complex things. And impulsive societies, they don't last.
Now let's look at a specific design. If we analyze Islam not as a theology for a second, but as a system, what we see is a model where this discipline wasn't just some afterthought. It was the core operating system. Just think about the difference in strategy here. A lot of modern approaches, they treat worship like a weekend activity, something separate from real life. The Islamic model, though, it embeds the discipline directly into the workday. It's literally designed to interrupt commerce, politics, and your daily grind.
And the logic behind this is just brutally pragmatic. You don't build a civilization on the weekends. You build it Monday through Friday, right in the thick of it all. So if you want to shape the character of the people building it, the discipline has to be integrated right there, in the middle of everything. So after looking at all this as a big, large-scale social technology, let's bring it right back down to a fundamental choice. Forget history, forget sociology for a moment. This is about the here and now. This is the choice. There really isn't a third option. A society's population is either going to be governed by internal restraint or it's going to be governed by external force,
More laws, more surveillance, more regulations. So do we want people who can regulate themselves or people who have to be constantly managed?
Prayer, from this perspective, was a civilization's #1 tool for answering that very question. It was the technology designed to build a self-regulating people, freeing up the state from having to control every little aspect of life.
And this is the final thought I want to leave you with. Whether you pray or not, your choice has a ripple effect. Your personal habits, they contribute to a cultural norm. You are, in effect, voting with your actions for what kind of person becomes the default in our society, one who is disciplined from the inside or one who has to be controlled from the outside.
Next time, we're going to dig even deeper into this. We'll explore the modern forces that are actively working against self-discipline, and we'll look at how this specific design of Islamic prayer can be seen as a really powerful counter-technology to all of it. See you then.